Hello there, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Crystal from Heart Musings with Crystal, and today I am working on a journal spread. So, this past weekend was a 4-day weekend for service members, which meant that my husband had 4 days off. So, Germany's still kind of how can I put this? They still have like quite a few restrictions on traveling, but we are allowed to travel kind of close-ish. So my husband and I are both fully vaccinated, and we decided to take advantage of the 4-day weekend and visit a place called Cochem. Cochem is about 2 hours away from where we are currently, so it wasn't too long of a drive, so we just wanted to do a quick day trip, and it was great. I'm not the kind of person that just kind of goes with the flow with vacations or traveling. I like to have things kind of planned out, and then especially now with all the restrictions, like it's always better to know what you can and can't do, and like what places need reservations and stuff. Thankfully, Cochem, we didn't really need reservations. A lot of things we were able just to like walk up and, walk up and do. Very, very safe, by the way. We socially distanced, had our masks and all that good stuff. But yeah, so Cochem, I don't really know a whole lot about the town itself, except for the fact that it's along the Mosel River, I think it's called, and that there are a lot of wineries. So I was really looking forward to sampling a lot of local wines. I ended up trying or taste testing 11 different kinds of wine that day. So I was in wine heaven, and I came home with 5 bottles from local wineries. And it was just like super cool because we got to walk alongside the actual vineyards where the grapes are grown, like that they use to make the wine. And it was just like a really neat experience. So that was one of the things we did. We also toured the castle. Now, the castle, that was the only thing we did need a reservation for, but that was just to tour the courtyard. Since, like I said, COVID restrictions, they aren't doing the normal tour where you are allowed to go inside the castle. So we were just allowed to go like in the courtyard where it was open. And it was still really, really beautiful. The castle itself was built around the year 1000. I think that's how you say that. So yeah, it was just, and it's overlooking the entire city, which means it's up a very, very steep hill. That was not my favorite part. It was probably my least favorite part because, oh man, the strain on my poor, poor knees from having to walk uphill for a good 20 minutes. Yeah, it was an interesting time. But I mean, it was worth it. The castle is, like I said, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I took a million photos that day. As you can see, I have like a huge stack of photos to put in the spread. But yeah, so we did the castle. After the castle, we walked down the steep hill, bought a couple bottles of wine after testing a few or sampling a few, and then we had lunch. The other thing, oh, and we had, we sat outside. That's what this little tip-in that I made is for. It's to talk about the lunch that we had. It's the first time that we actually were able to eat at a restaurant since we've been here. We've been here for about 6 months now. So yeah, we were able to sit outside. It was a beautiful day. It was sunny, but it had a cool breeze, so we weren't feeling the heat or the exhaustion from walking. And yeah, so that place that we had lunch in, it was amazing food. We didn't really know what we were getting. We just kind of like picked and chose things that kind of sounded good. And yeah, that was probably my favorite part of this whole experience. Like, aside from the wine tasting, was being able to actually have lunch somewhere. And then we stopped by, you're probably gonna laugh, but a historic mustard mill that's been around since like the 1800s. They usually do tours, but COVID, they weren't doing tours, but we were able to still go into the gift shop. And that's like was on my list of must do things while in Cochem, which I know sounds ridiculous, but they actually still sell mustard following the original recipe from 1820. So I bought myself, a jar of mustard because I thought that was like really, really neat. So before I continue with what else we did that day, I kind of just want to talk to you a little bit about that tip-in that I just made for the restaurant and our experience of dining outside for the first time. So I am currently, for those of you that are new here, I'm currently journaling in a Hobonichi cousin, which I've mentioned before, but I will say it again. I have a very love-hate relationship with my Hobonichi cousin. I love that it helps me journal on a daily basis, but I really hate that I'm limited to just the one page per day. So, because of this, I struggle a whole lot, especially on days where I have a ton to say and a million photos, much like the trip to Cochem. So, one of the ways that I've been kind of trying to cope or deal with that issue is by making tip-ins. Some tip-ins will have photos on the front with, synopsis on the back explaining what those photos are about. Other tip-ins will just be photos themselves. This has really helped me kind of summarize what's going on in my day, and it's given me an opportunity to kind of like showcase all my photos without being too selective. Of course, it's not without its downsides. Hobonichi cousins are made with Tomoe River paper, which is very, very thin paper. That being said, tip-ins do add a lot of bulk to your journal. I didn't mind it so much for this spread, mainly because I am near the end of this insert. I don't have the Hobonichi Avec, but I did cut my Hobonichi into 3 separate inserts, which I'm going to talk about later on when I do my monthly flips and stuff. But yeah, I did cut it into 3 separate inserts. So this one here, my daily pages only goes up until mid-June. So because of that, I didn't really mind all the tip-ins and the extra bulk because I knew I'm not going to be in this for that much longer. But that's definitely something to consider if you're working with a notebook with Tomoe River paper. Aside from tip-ins, I've also been giving myself permission to use more than one page per spread. So for this particular day, I actually end up using 3 daily pages instead of just the designated one. And to help accommodate this, or to help, I guess, have this work in my journal, all I'm doing is for the other days, like the other 2 days that I used, the other 2 daily pages that I use, I'll just do like little quick synopsis on a separate page. So this way I am making use of the space. I find like a lot of my regular day-to-day activities are pretty uneventful. So I'll write about something random. So whether it be like what I dreamt that day, or I guess like I'll focus on one aspect of the day, like an amazing dinner I had, or a new pastry I tried, or I'll do a journal prompt. So I figured that it wouldn't hurt too much if I used the pages for something else, like in this case, to talk about the trip. I have to say that opening up that door to using as many pages as I want in a dated cousin has really been very freeing for me and has made me enjoy it, the Hobonichi cousin, a little bit more than I did before. But yeah, so if you're anything like me, don't feel like confined to just the single day per page. use as many pages as you want. Journal writing should give you joy and not anxiety or frustration. So, yeah, use it however. I have been wondering if there are any Etsy shops that currently have Tomoe River paper inserts with the weekly layout similar to the Hobonichi, because that is something that I absolutely love about the cousin. And yeah, the only reason why I haven't given it up altogether is because those weekly pages and the monthly spreads have been so much fun for me because I get to just like throw everything at those pages, haphazardly put stickers down with wild abandon, and I just love how like cluttered and messy everything looks and how well it comes together at the end. And yeah, so I love my undated inserts, but I really, really want to be able to continue the weekly without me having to draw them in every week. I did try that once, and later on at some point I will do a flip of my previously filled notebooks and talk about my my journaling journey, as you will. But yeah, I really, really love how the Kobanichi Cousin has their weekly layout set up and their monthly pages. So if you know of an Etsy store that has anything like that, please, please, please leave that down below because I desperately need that in my life. Now back to the Cochem day trip. So I talked about the castle, I talked about sitting outside at a restaurant for the first time in a long time. I talked about getting mustard. My friend kind of laughed at me about it, but I bought her some too so she could try because I so cool. Like 1820, like yeah, I had to try it. Anywho, I talked about the mustard place. And okay, so after all of that, we walked across the bridge because it is on the Mosul River, so there is like a little bridge that you can walk. So we walked across the bridge because I had looked up and found a winery that did actual wine tasting. So we went and they had a really nice outdoor patio garden area set up. So you would take, you chose whichever wines you wanted to sample. You got half a glass of each wine, which is very, very affordable in my opinion. So we got to try 4 wines each for €10, and it was actually a little more than half a glass. So this was pretty decent amount. And so we carried our tray with our different wines that we were sampling and walked out to that very peaceful, very well organized little outdoor patio seating area. So we sat at this little table with an umbrella, and the patio is actually overlooking the Mosul River. So as you're sitting out there, you watch boats go by, and and you get to see, across the street to all the really beautiful historical buildings. The castles you get to see the castle overlooking everything. It was just a very serene moment. You ever have those moments where you just feel so at peace and just so unbelievably grateful for what your life is? And that's kind of what that moment was for me. It was just, I felt so much joy in my heart, and just, yeah, I couldn't, it was like something out of a movie. I just couldn't believe that this was my life in that moment. And it was just, yeah, it was beautiful. So, and that was, yeah, that was one of the last things we did. Well, actually, the very, very last thing after we sampled our wine and we sat out there for a good hour and a half, just kind of enjoying everything. We walked back across the bridge and we ended our trip with some gelato. Yeah, I really like gelato, and I hadn't had some since being here, so I took the opportunity to take a cone to go and walk back to our car, had our gelato, and drove the 2 hours back home. Overall, it was a very great trip. I had so much fun. We didn't like go out and do a lot of different activities, but we enjoyed just the environment and the scenery. We got to try good food, good wine, got to see all the beautiful sights, got in a lot of exercise. We walked like 4 miles that day, and 40 minutes of that was going up and downhill, which I definitely felt that the following day. My thighs and my legs were not happy with me, but well worth it. Yeah, so that was my trip to Cochem. If you live near Cochem, you all should definitely make a day trip. It was well worth it. So yeah. Also, I totally realized I didn't talk about that coffee cup there. So I make it a point to try latte macchiatos wherever it is I am, because the coffee here is thebomb.com. So I walked into this place because the logo looks like a hipster, like a dude with glasses and a hipster beard. So I just like waited in line. I ordered my latte macchiato, and it was the best coffee I have had in my entire life. I'm talking the perfect temperature. The shots of espresso were the right amount of acidity, had the right amount of acidity. The foam didn't collapse 2 seconds after I stirred my sugar in. It was just so good. And the icing on the cake was the man who made my drink was the dude on the logo. Talk about a wonderful coincidence.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's me, Future Crystal. So, I just wanted to give you an update on how this spread turned out. I was writing in what happened that day, and I realized there were still a couple of things I wanted to add. So, I wanted to just show you how it turned out, I guess. So, you saw these on camera. And so this here, I originally was going to write stuff, but I didn't. I had so many photos. So yeah, that became an extra photo space. And yeah, this is the end, I guess, like the little bit that I added at the end there. And that's that. That was my spread. I hope you all enjoyed this video and seeing me try and tackle the dilemma that is photos. Yeah. Anywho, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And have a good one. Bye.